The House Select Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government held its first hearing today, and there were really no surprises. It was mostly broad, unsupported claims, in particular of an FBI that's led by Republican Chris Wray, appointed by Republican Donald Trump, an FBI that has never in its history had a Democratic leader. And my support for the FBI comes from pro-law enforcement perspective. So I rarely side with the left on these issues. But also because we've found evidence and presented it on this show of the many high-profile Democrats the FBI has helped take down even in the past year. From former Congressman T.J. Cox of California to former head of the Louisiana Democratic Party Karen Carter-Peterson to Ron DeSantis' former gubernatorial opponent Andrew Gillum, all taken down by the FBI in 2022. And what we got today was basically a rehash of the conspiracy theories and far-right attacks that we've seen for the last 2 years. Much of the evidence the members claim to have comes from, as of yet, unnamed whistleblowers.
You talk about dozens of whistleblowers. When are we going to get that information?
When they testify, when we work with, I'll work with the ranking member on that information.
You don't have any transcriptions of their interviews?
We have the first one, and we have the dozens who come and talk to our office.
They talk to your office privately?
They talk to Republican staff, right. When the transcript is done, you will get the transcript.
I mean of the dozens of whistleblowers you have already talked to that came to talk to your staff.
Yeah, what do you want me to turn over there?
Did you?
Their names?
Notes? Did anyone take notes?
I'll be happy to talk with the ranking member on how we handle that information.
Thank you.
All I'm telling you is we will schedule each for a deposition.
These claims would get a lot more credence when and if we get the names and depositions and the specifics of what they're alleging. Now, former special agent of the FBI, Nicole Parker, was one. She stepped down from the FBI's Miami bureau last year. But when it came to weaponization, she didn't have any actual personal examples to cite because she says she was treated well. She's just sure and knows it must have happened.
Although I was always treated with the highest level of respect in the Miami division, I no longer felt that I was the type of agent that the FBI valued.
And every day I woke up and I embraced being an FBI special agent until things changed. Over the course of my 12+ years, the FBI's trajectory has transformed. The Bureau's mission had remained the same, but its priorities and governing principles shifted dramatically. The FBI became politically weaponized, starting from the top in Washington and trickling down to the field offices. It's as if there became two FBIs.
But there was no specific evidence of it. Now, Parker said it was tough to decide whether to testify because of the potential blowback of entering the public arena on this. But she actually wrote an op-ed piece for Fox News a couple of months ago saying almost exactly what she said in her testimony. The witnesses and lawmakers on the committee spent a lot of time telling us that no one trusts the FBI, after they themselves spent years telling us not to trust the FBI.
Professor Turley just cited statistics here today that there are large numbers of Americans who now distrust the FBI. Our task here is to determine exactly how that's happened and how to correct that framework.
You really need a hearing to know why that happened? And what's good for the weaponized goose is apparently good for the gander on this, like Maryland Democrat Jamie Raskin pointing out the John Durham special counsel investigation set up by former Attorney General Bill Barr 4 years ago is coming to a close with no convictions and allegations actually of prosecutorial misconduct, abuse of power, and weaponization. But putting aside the tit for tat, Stacey Plaskett of the Virgin Islands, a delegate there to the House and the top Democrat on the committee, I think was right when she opened the hearing with this.
I'm deeply concerned about the use of this select subcommittee as a place to settle scores, showcase conspiracy theories, and advance an extreme agenda that risk undermining Americans' faith in our democracy. Some of today's witnesses would have us believe that the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation are part of a deep state cabal. The Department of Justice and the FBI do not always get it right. The Department of Justice and the FBI are doing their best to protect us from sliding into chaos.
Whenever I do this topic on my radio show, I have people calling in saying that the FBI clearly wanted to hurt Donald Trump in 2016. They wanted to take him down. And I always ask then, well, why didn't they leak that there was a Russia investigation of Donald Trump leading up to the election? That might have sunk his candidacy. They didn't. Instead, they just publicly announced the Hillary Clinton one and then announced they were reopening the investigation 11 days before the election. But no, I don't think James Comey weaponized the FBI against Hillary Clinton either. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.